This video is going to be about making a pecan wood stain master color chip. This part right here, I'm trying to show that I'm working with the lacquer thinner reagent as the base for the liquid dye stain solution that I'm going to be making for this pecan wood stain color. Basically, it's going to be a 1/4 cup. I'm going to be trying to show here, which would be 2 ounces, and 1/8 teaspoon of the yellow amber dye, 1 drop of the brown, 4 drops of the crimson red, and 1 drop of the blue. But you'll see that coming up. So why would you want to have a master color chip? Here I'm just adding the 1/8 teaspoon of the yellow. The reason that you'd want a master color chip is, say 2 years down the road you want to recreate a color formula that you made in the past, or you're trying to do a repair job and you want that color chip that you can end up using perhaps even as a example of a color formula that would be close to that color match, and then you can just take that formula and modify it. So say that it's a dark pecan color, then you already have a base color, and then you can just add a couple more drops of brown, maybe a drop of black to darken it up a little bit more, but it'll give you a good base to end up doing a color matching system. Here's where I ended up adding the 2 extra drops of the red dye. I just wanted a little bit more orange coloring to it to get to the pecan color that I was going for. So anyways, it also is good in case, like, say that you end up doing a build, and like this particular one could be for some cabinet doors. Here's the back. This is what I was talking about. So this is the back side where I write down all of the information. That's how I sanded it. It's the 1/4 cup, the 1/8 teaspoon, how many drops of each color. There was no pre-sealer. There was 2 coats. The sealer I'm using, and any notes and so on. So it's just a good board to have. So if you're trying to recreate a color later on, and it'll also give you, the different stages in your progress. So that way, when you lay down your color formula, you can check it before having to seal it, just to make sure that it's pretty close to the color that you're trying to get to. So say like 2 years down the road, you build a table for your kitchen, and you put this particular color on your cabinet work, and you want to have an accent color to match that same cabinet work. So this would be the way that you would end up going about it, because you have this color formula. And here I ended up matching the stain. I always end up writing down the color on the jar, so that way I have my sample for, if I end up going with a piece of wood that may be totally different than this particular one, I can take that same stain out and apply it and just verify that it's the color that I'm looking for on that different piece of wood. I hope that makes sense. So here I'm taking the shellac and I'm just sealing that back piece up with the formula on there. That's going to help protect and preserve that formula, so I don't have to worry if I end up pulling it out and I spill some dye stain on it later. It's going to have that formula protected. Now my camera was acting a little strange. My video card, it kept giving me errors, and that's the bad thing about these videos. You only get one shot at them, so if there's a mistake that's made, I just sometimes don't get to capture it, so I have to restart a whole video. But on this one, I basically ended up wiping down. I didn't do a sandback, but I wiped it down. Instead of sanding it, it was like a chemical sandback. So I took some lacquer thinner and then I just applied that to the surface, and I wiped off any of the excess surface dye. So here I'm just doing a progress sand. I did have the one coat that's already been sprayed, and that's taped off now. So here I'm doing my sandback like I would be doing on my project. So I did a 220 and then a 400 grit, and now I'm wiping this down just to clean off any debris. And now I'm laying out my second coat on here. So that way you can see the different stages where that 917A1 is. That's just the raw wood. Then you have the dye stain, and then there's the first coat, and then the piece that's not going to be taped is going to be the two coats. So now say I want to do 3 or 4 coats, then I would apply 3 or 4 coats on that section, on that area as well. It's going to be to recreate whatever type of finish that you're looking to recreate in the future. So here again you can see I just wrote this on a little cleaner area so you can see it better. And then here's the back. I do fold those over so that way I have like a little tab where I can peel those off, and you'll see that coming up here in a little bit. But basically that's all of the information that I took and I recorded on the back of this board, so that way it gives me notes a couple years down the road if I wanted to recreate this color. So you see here as I peel these layers back, that top part, that top section where my thumb is right there, that's just the raw wood. So I know what the color of that wood is. Because the wood can, if it's a darker or lighter wood, that can make a difference. There's the first coat of dye stain. That's my first coat of sealer. And there's my 2 coats of sealer, or my finished result. And then I can just tape it back up in order to protect and preserve it, keep the light off of it, and just keep a good protection somewhat over the top of that master color chip, so that way it's a good reference. Thank you guys for watching. I hope somebody can utilize it, and I hope it helps out.